Okay. Good. Ooh. Every day I worry. Boy, I think I inherited my grandma's worrisomeness. I'm a worried wart. I'm a worried wart. But I've had, life is kind of a fractal of your family's torture and suffering. I think every human life relives, revisits, even in some sort of archetypal or numinous sense that you might like if people saw it as more substantial in the ways that would probably help you get someone to understand how you feel, but you're also glad and somewhat made, if not completely satisfying, safer, because in some of this acute suffering is not so noticeable maybe to anybody, no matter how noticeable it might be to you in your own mind. So, how much do we, in our own private, if numinous, if ephemeral, if hard to say, but a very real sense, relive or recapitulate or learn from the suffering of our family, or endure it, and have to try not to talk about it? Or if you look at or meet people in how they've learned about what to say or not to say or acknowledge about human suffering or harm among their people, it's very hard to see. It makes you not want to be around people, because it's like, as much as they need to do it, it's not a good sign for you and your safety. Because you know instinctually or from experience or both, in ways you maybe never learned to say, that when people live in a lot of denial, it's because they live in a lot of violence, and they're kind of connected. So the very things that people need to deny the most are in circumstances where denial itself becomes like the Holy Ghost. It becomes like a demon that visits itself upon circumstances that you may never be able to adequately learn. You're going to be able to protect yourself from becoming like a dim-witted patsy, a dupe, or a full-on scapegoat in the theatrical environment of the electronic and sexual shock that has been incorporated into the physiological, kinematic, psychological, and religious vernacular of any particular tribe of human beings. Draw a small or bigger circle as you like around any populated area, including tribes, creeds, genders, and sectors of your own local community. I know places on Vancouver Island where I can go and be sure that someone's going to be violent to me. Vancouver Island and the west coast of Canada, or maybe different pockets of North America, are very female dominant. And you can be sure that when females get together and they're dominant in an area, in a way that you can't really say it's the fault of women, but it's how groups function, and groups have different needs, and groups of women have different needs, they're going to lash out at you. And so the very conditions that 100 local, beautiful, middle-class, white female yoga teachers think is the most wonderful thing on earth are the same conditions where 1 or 2 or 20 or 50 among their number are going to shove their pussies into my face or suddenly have a moment of complete rage because I moved their garden gnome 3 inches to one side. Just never know. And they've actually, when you watch TV shows and there's like crazy men, you don't realize that these women are well understood by the scientists who run our society. It's understood that different types of women in different situations are going to have moments of complete rage, where cute and sexy little compulsions on behalf of women, right down to how many shoes they have in their garage or their car or their closet, means you have to be kind of careful around this animal. You wouldn't want her not to be able to get a new pair of shoes this month. On the flip side of which, it tells us women enjoy fixating on clothing and makeup, right? They endure in what they've had to learn or resort to learning about how much they might need to fixate on their clothing, their bodies, their makeup, their shopping, their appearance. And, it becomes a part of that is part of the beauty of women. You would say, like, oh, wow, isn't it great? We like that women like how they look and like to appeal to the male gaze. And someone would say, like, you know what? We could live in a colony of women where we never have to shave our legs again and be perfectly happy. That Maybelline is not the alpha bitch in our tribe. That everything to do with women is sold, marketed, sold. Like, it's just like little pieces of the most incredible mineral resource that anyone got their sweaty little patriarchal palms on, Really. Women's minds are like real estate, constantly being marketed and bought and sold, so that no matter, just like a lot of marketing, no matter how wonderful it is and how many shoes you buy, it's constantly telling you that you're not and can never be enough. For what or whom? Who fucking knows? A man? Society? Yourself? Anyone? And so when I say that women's behavior does lapse on the side of being destructive, and failing to love their spouse and their children, or to even protect them from themselves, that is a very difficult discussion to have. And you need all of it to have it. And you probably should keep it to yourself, because no woman wants to do it. So, but if we're just hearing about men or violent, you're never going to know the full story. If you don't know the full story, then you hunger. So maybe you can even know all the stories, but you want to make sure you hear the stories that there are to be heard. There's so many good stories to be told that you may want to listen to. I can assert that much. Stories don't have to explain all the stories. You get to decide what value they have. Obviously, they're important to you. But they will never tell that story until I know your story. Other people's stories. Tell stories about pain. They have definitely their own stories to tell. And you don't always want to hear them. I'd like to say that women have been innocuous. I like them. I have a lot of friendly, wonderful, healthy women who have been enjoying with the wonderful sacred time that I have on this earth, especially in terms of the sanctity of my childhood and the resonant tones and spheres of safety, which I'd like to think of as having to sustain a resonance, whether we accept it or not, through all the spheres of the voice of all human knowledge, industry, pain, medicine, and all the solution-oriented industries of human thought, form, and fucking in all of human history. Write that down. And I'd like to think that women have respected that. The fact that as a child, nature and my mother were all the love that I needed. And to this day, still the most wonderful way to relate to the natural world as a loving mother, and as my loving mother. My mother's love and nature's love. It's an alchemical combination, isn't it? Alchemy is actually Jewish, sorry, little slip there. Jewish, I guess. I mean, it's part of everything. It's part of Kabbalah, which is the Egyptian torture of the woman in her way, the feminine, the sacred water, or elf, but also the man. An abal or a bull, the bull sacrifice. It's a very complete and extraordinary sacrifice of the Christian being and our mothers and fathers, in a way that of the mother and that of the father could be treated as its own separate universe, and out of which the one is molesting the other for eternity, built right into the economics of all human beings, and what we call money, which you say doesn't grow on a tree, but it does. A tree that's has cancer eating its own roots. A tree that's capable of feeding on its own leaves, but for some reason is feeding on its own children. You know what I mean? Feed your family. Just don't feed your family. Everything about the economics is over the septic, so that what is solar, what is the essence of what is male about men and women, which is the self-determining and emergent power, vulnerable as a baby, of what must become new flesh, about the spirit of why we're here in the first place. Okay? That's the prototypical male in the cosmos. It doesn't have testicles. It has everybody. And everybody has that. There's no religion, there's no sense, nothing you can do that can ever destroy that. But you can't ignore its voice to all of our detriment. And that's what the economic system does. It sacrifices that voice. In the human, everything. Spring. See, look at this verse. Look at how fruitful it is. Why does the economic system take on debt and poverty? So that fire of being becomes like the moon. It's a fire of like an orgy of sacrifice and going into trance. Not so much seeing new things, but becoming different kinds of people whose appetites lead to a very, very dangerous condition where the sun doesn't come out ever again because we cover it up with a new fire and a new moon and a new dawn and a new sun and a new day. Right? Every religion has the same things, right? Every politician. The bright future of America, which is just the bright glowing flames of your own nuclear human sacrifice. Because the whole system is living off of you. Is living off of your dead flesh. And the words you need to learn, and the culture you learn to become a good worker is entirely cannibalistic. You're part of the mandible of your predator. So you don't have to become completely consumed by its insatiable hunger for your time, labor, and joy. The person dancing the orgy around that septic fire is already dead. It is the spirits of the dead. They've already been consumed by their hungers. Some strange person that came to a party one night and you can't control yourself. You might as well be dead. Don't even thinking about it. So then you go to the frenzy of it all. The economic system is a feeding frenzy. We talk about that on Black Friday, right? It's a feeding frenzy where nobody is ever satisfied. The Lord's relationship with you is a narcissistic relationship. It's a messianic relationship. He gets to feed off your flesh and all of your family. It gives you pleasant prisons to live in, and so that you're made available for the system of feed, and you have to process all that. Your co-workers aren't useful to you after you retire. How many people are your friends or the people you worked with? It's just not what it should be. So when I was a child, I didn't realize if you work once, I want you to be compensated. But it's hard. I don't want to do it. I want to do it on my own. We have to do it if we all need to learn to do it. It doesn't have to be our favorite thing.